Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk to you about civic space and civil society because this is what I'm very passionate about, but also because I think it is a very overlooked fact and understanding of how narrow we understand the concept of civic space. So civic space is broadly defined as the set of conditions that allow civil society and individuals to organize, participate, and communicate freely and without discrimination, and in doing so, have influence in the political structures. According to Civicus Monitor, they do a global tracking of the civic space online of the world, and their data shows that only 2% of the world currently lives in a free and open civic space, in contrast to 5 years ago when it was double than that. And these are striking numbers. And yet, the Civicus Monitor specifically, I know because we are writing the regional monitor for our region, focuses on a very narrow understanding of basic freedoms. So it's about just the freedoms to associate, assemble, and express. But in order to have these basic freedoms, other freedoms and other rights are essential in order to enable the civil society to be there. So it's not about only being restricted because of your voice, only being penalized because of what you're saying and what you're working, but it's also about having the right to safe and secure spaces, both offline and online. But it's also about the right to receive donations from domestic or foreign funding as well. And these tend to be often overlooked, although with the recent rise in the laws restricting foreign funding, flagging civil society organizations as foreign agents, this is becoming increasingly popular. So other than these basic freedoms, there are two dimensions that are incredibly overlooked that we all tend to forget. They have a very big say in how developed, influential, impactful, and resilient is the civil society in particular countries. And these are the ability of the civil society organizations to mobilize funds and the overall civil society. And the other one is the incentive and the practice of the state and public institutions to involve and cooperate with the civil society in their structures. The reason I'm sharing this is because back in 10 years ago, we developed this framework for how we monitor the civil society. It has a very unfortunate name of Monitoring Matrix for Enabling Environment for Civil Society Development, huge one. But this has actually allowed us several things. First, to set standards of how civil society should be understood and monitored. The second is it has created a benchmark that we aim to meet. And the third is provided us with a legitimate and accountable tool for advocacy on how we request and hold our governments accountable, but also the international community. And the most important thing that happened for us as a regional network, other than being quite impactful in setting, aiming for these standards on national level, it has been that we have actually encouraged and made the European Commission to set their own standards of how they're monitoring the civil society in the countries that aim to become members of the European Union, and by then pressuring our governments to uphold those practices of how they're treating the civil society in our respective countries. So in a nutshell, I wanted to share a tool that we have tried on. It works. I'm encouraging those to think about in the framework of how you are thinking when thinking about the civil society, whether it's from the civil society perspective or from the perspective of policymakers and regulators. Thank you very much. Thank you.